friends. Okay, I'm here. I think everything is working and we're online. Today I would like to go through. So last weekend I was at Roguelike Celebration, which is a conference in San Francisco once a year for people who are either liking or developing roguelikes. And I'm not going to go into roguelikes, but like my game is kind of like a roguelike. It is partly procedurally generated, and it is a lot about, text and stuff like this. So I had a lot of good time over there, and I showed my game there. I just wanted to say some things that if you're into game development, you might not know or might know, but it was just amazing for me. Is I met with Amit Patel, who is the person behind this page, Red Blob Games, and this is great if you're doing any kind of game development, especially 2D something. Then this game is this page is explaining all the algorithms that you will ever need probably, and not just explaining them in text, but he has all these things where you can just like generating maps, but then you have like an embed in with which you can play around, and it is just amazing. And then you can look at the code and stuff. Pathfinding, that's like almost not just games, right? Like A-star pathfinding is really important for things like planning in any kind of environment. So I mean, it's Red Blob Games, very much recommended. All right. I also met with the creators of Dwarf Fortress, which was amazing to me. If you don't know Dwarf Fortress, it's this like weird game slash. Oh man, someone is really cutting grass today. Anyway, as always, when I'm streaming, there's someone who's like doing something really loud, and which you hopefully don't hear as much as I do, and also my connection, my internet connection is not great. But like this is what Dwarf Fortress looks like. It's still selling. I mean, it's for free, I think, but it is going to Steam, and it's this like heavily simulated world. And I actually talked to one of the creators, and we talked about this game, which is a predecessor to Dwarf Fortress, and it is like this is the first time I actually saw it in action. But like if you know Dwarf Fortress, everything is simulated. Like you have this like dwarf colony, and like everyone there is going around their business, and everyone has like full anatomy, kind of like in my game. And but like they also this, because it's more like a management game, there are many dwarves, and they are all like running around, and then one of them like loses an arm, and another one will like make art about him losing the arm and stuff like this, right? And so but it looks like this. You look at text, basically ASCII, and I always heard about there was a predecessor to this game called Slaves to Armok, which was 3D, and which like let you fight in a 3D environment. Again, not unlike, I mean, like I don't have a 3D environment, I'm rendering in text, but like there's a lot of like the whole like there's a whole simulated anatomy and body, and everything can be damaged, and like there's many options. That's the kind of like spirit that I have, except I'm trying to make it like simple to use. So this is my game if you haven't seen it, but this is like, yeah, like they wanted to make a 3D game, and can't remember his name, but the one of the creators was like, yeah, we were so stupid, like we were trying to build this game and make it so much simulated, in 3D, and like you can see, you know, the game is actually pretty terrible. Like you're running around in this environment, but then like you can, as you can see, the anatomy is there, and now like I think the player or whoever's made this video will actually like make his character go on foot and hands. See, so this is now his stance. So like he changed his stance, and like, so, you know, now he's going around the environment like terrible monster spider or something. So yeah, so as you can imagine, this was not a huge commercial or any other success. But then they made Dwarf Fortress, so yeah. And then I also, like, there was so many cool people, including the person behind Dungeon Mans, which is probably one of the more accessible and more fun roguelikes to play these days. Cool. So that's what I wanted to kind of basically be a fan. Like, I'm a huge fan of these things, and I got to meet the people, so that was awesome. Back to my game. So I was showing my game to all the people that were there, and I made a lot of, like, it was literally just like I had 2 phones there and people could play it, and I had like a booth which was just a table with some things on it, and what I wanted to know is, like, is this fun? Is this something, like, how do people like feel about it, and what are the problems with it? And the cool news is that it seems to be fun. Like, people had fun doing it. People weren't just like throwing it down. I also found what I really liked and really hoped for is that there was like a group of people that came, and one of them was playing and the other ones were looking over his shoulder and they were commenting on what was happening, which is great, because I wanted this kind of like more social experience, but like actual social, not just like, oh, I'm gonna share this on Facebook or whatever, but like really social experience in a room or something. You know, this comes to this piece on my side, where it's like, I mean, you know, we if you play a normal video game in a room with people, basically you're often just, especially on mobile, you're kind of ignoring everyone else because you need to focus on this. But if you play something like that, like, you can still have normal conversation because nothing changes and it looks like you're reading a book. Cool. So yeah, so that's the good news. The bad news is that it's really hard to explain to people what this is, and many people still kind of looked at it and they were like, oh, this is just like a pre-written choose your own adventure book, and that's not the case. And second, there was definitely lots of things that people just like didn't know how to deal with, and that's all my fault because like the UI right now is pretty terrible and it's not explained and all that. So I made a lot of notes, as I said, and I have them here. And they are in no particular, they're actually in chronological order as people came to me and talked to me. So I probably will pick and choose things that I need to look at first, and then I'm going to do them in some kind of order that makes more sense. Are you hitting this? Oh, okay. There's people. I can still hear you. Stream is fine. Cool. Good. Yeah. I just hope that people. Oh, Filip is on the chat. Hey, Filip. Yes, it was very cool, and thanks for watching. I am a little nervous that the sound of the grass mower, whatever it is, lawnmower, is distracting. At least it's distracting me. So hopefully it's just distracting me and not you. Cool. I can't do anything about it. So okay. So the first thing that will be the easiest to hopefully fix is that I have a typo in corpse, it turns out. And I don't know what it is, but people were like, hey, corpse is not corpse, right? Is this corpse? And I will now switch to so how could I corpse? I don't know what. How do I find this? Yeah. Oh, I know. I know what probably they meant. So if I have a random encounter here, and someone dies, so oh, I only have org here. Anyway, I am pretty sure what they were talking about is turn on that corpse. Oh, here you go. Corpse. And that leads me to another one. See, this is so I have hopefully, what was it before? Cops. Let's see if there's another one. I think there's another of these. Yeah. So corpse and corpse. And also someone told me that turn undead is the wrong thing to say here. And they're right, of course. What I'm doing is raising the dead, as you can see here. I'm raising from dead, actually. Turning undead is a spell that not necromancers, but often healers will have, which means literally just like turning undead around and like go away. So for some reason, like many people have played the game and didn't notice and said like, oh, I understand what this means. But at least 2 people told me, no, this is the wrong thing to say. And I agree. So raise from dead or from the dead, raise from dead is fine with me. So raise from dead. So as you can see, this is pretty small things, but raise from that. But it's all about details, right? All right, let me. So fix typo. Commit this. All right. So that would be this. These 2. Some people don't know how to dismiss the help message, which means, for example, if I'm trying to like step the eye here, you know, the way to dismiss this is to tap anywhere where there is no, like, the outside of the modal. But I'm guessing like that's not something that many people will understand. So we can add like a little OK button or something, I guess. Filip is, I think one of these would be the best verbiage. Raise dead or raise from death or raise the dead. What did I do? Raise from... Yeah, raise from death. Raise dead. Okay, I obviously trust Filip more than me with English, so let's actually do this the proper way. So the options are raise dead. So this would be something like environment, orc's corpse, raise dead, raise from death, or raise the dead. Yeah, I like raise the dead, I guess, because raise from death, raise dead seems like, you know, that's that seems like raise. Well, how about raise Yeah, raise the dead seems right. Raise the dead. See these like little things. Okay, so amend that comment. Good. Thank you, Philip. Thank you. Back to the other things. So this is a UI thing that I can work with. This is just a node that someone told me that you should check out wave function collapse, which I did check out. And then later people were actually talking about it on the conference, so that was cool. I do have a left swipe on Android bug, which I need to figure out, but that maybe not today. Choose is confusing. Yeah, these are the like. So, for example, if I throw a sword at someone, I have some logic there that will either let it like fall down on the ground, or it will like fall right next to the goblin or whatever, and it will land out of reach. And I kind of like that because that means that sometimes you just can't like, you know, sometimes you have to wait until after the fight to actually pick the weapons that you threw. And that doesn't need to be a sword, obviously. It could be a spear or a dagger or whatever. What I want to do is to make sure that like to kind of so that people understand that this is now out of reach, you know, like because they weren't sure why sometimes I can take the weapon from the ground and sometimes I cannot. Like what's the deal? So that just means that if I start throw and start thrusting weapon, these are the only two throws that I have. That means what does it do? Create throw situation, and that means it will end with this. And if it's a success, then sure, this will just get the projectile will move to ground. That's okay. This false means that it's not out of reach. That's great. Just making sure that you can see all these. Okay. And then this is the same thing, I guess. Yes, false. See? So we're saying that the projectile goes to the ground, not out of reach, because you literally threw it at someone and they it won't. The projectile, meaning like a spear, it won't fly somewhere out because you actually hit the people or they hit you, for example. That's great, but what about when you miss? So catch is not that. Shield block will move the projectile to... that will also move the projectile right down, which makes sense if someone's throws a spear at you and you block it with your shield, the projectile should fall to the ground and not somewhere out of hand. So the only thing that we need to figure out is the dodge throw, which like what I have here, if you apply if you fail, obviously then it goes into you, but if you succeed, you avoid the projectile or move out of its way, and then the projectile moves to ground out of reach. So we need to basically just say here to kind of like render the fact that this goes out of reach. So I guess we can just do projectile report and subject flies past object. So what do we want to say? Let's say the orc dodges the dagger or moves out of the dagger's way, and it flies past him and out of reach. And out of reach. So the object is enemy, and I think this needs to be an end sentence. I can give hints to the natural language generation, like little algorithm that I have there. What makes more sense, and in this case, it makes sense to end the sentence there, I think. Let's try it. So we can play around with this one. Uh-oh, what's happening? I was building the thing at so yeah, okay. So random encounter. I'm barehanded. I want to pick up. Damn, I want to. He has the goblin is the orc is wielding a sword and the goblin is holding a spear, so I guess the spear is more fun. So I guess I will leap at the goblin. Oh, I can. Orc is actually, orc is actually hitting me with a sword. He's throwing the sword at me, so I can fail the dodge to see what's. No. I can succeed with the dodge. I move out of the sword's way, and it flies past the. Not past the orc. Oh, past me, yes. Past actor. Right, because it flies past the one that is dodging. And it flies past me and out of reach. The goblin tries to crawl out of harm's way. Cool. Okay. Let's try it again. Just to be sure. Random encounter. I'm holding a pike. Cool. So I'm going to fail throw at the goblin, and we'll see what's going to happen. Fail. I throw the pike at the goblin, and he moves out of its way. It flies past him and out of reach. Cool. He tries to ruin my stance with a fainted jab. Okay, cool. I think I'm happy with this. This could get we could have more variability. As you can see here, we can we do lots of different options what to say. It flies past, but let's keep it. Unless there's someone who has other ideas. Yes, Philip is asking, could retrieving a thrown weapon have a risk? Like the enemy might get in the way and you are given the choice to try and not try. Totally, there was that I think is in my to-dos. But let's see. This is probably a spam call. We'll see. I should give it. I should put it with my to-dos. But yes, that should definitely be. I'm using the what? I'm using the. The call screening app is pretty cool. If someone is calling you and it's spam, which happens really often, I don't know why here in US, then you can just say, hey, screen the call, and then it will talk to the people on the other hand and at the other end of the line, and I can just like read the transcript. So this was a spam call. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, I think let's not dwell on this. So I will commit. So make it clear that thrown weapon goes out of reach. Yeah. All right. So that would be this. Yeah, this one was actually, I think I got it twice. So if you're on the ground and you have a sword, for example, you leapt to get someone on the ground, and then you have a sword, people want to be able to kind of like swing, right? And it is a little. I mean, there's a reason why I didn't allow this, because it still seems to me that it's a different type of swing than if you're both in some position. So it should be that's why I kind of avoided it, but it makes sense. It makes sense to be able to be on the ground and still swing at someone, and even thrust at someone. Actually, it's probably better. Well, you should be able to do both. Huh. What? Let's do thrust first. So, yeah, let's do thrust. Thrust. Start thrust. Is it really for spears only? Oh, really? Okay, it's only for spears. That's weird. Well, I guess it makes sense. So this is for when you have someone on the ground, and this could be actually. This could be more generalized for not just spears, but anything that's as long as a spear. Right? Okay. So let's say like a current weapon damage capability length is more than it's more than 3, and current weapon damage capability is thrusting or false. Right, so instead of saying, hey, if it's a spear you can do this, it says if it's anything that has certain length, then you can do this. And obviously it also needs to be thrusting, because this is a thrusting move. Cool. I can actually make it so that you can thrust on the ground even if you're just holding a sword. I think that would be best. Default length for a sword is 2. Yeah, it's weird to try and kill someone. I mean, with a dagger, it's probably better to to throw the dagger, I guess. Yeah, let's just where was I? So it should be more than 2. So for weapons that are as long as a sword or longer. Right. Also, weapon type sword default length is probably better than just have a 2 there, right? Yes. Okay, so now people are I use this call. Yeah, sometimes I thrust the dagger into his heart. Huh, that's a good one. I should take this down. So anyway, so now we can actually thrust down. It's not just spares. Start thrust down. Let's just rename things. Start thrust down, start thrust down, start thrust down. Okay. Hopefully. Yeah, finish thrust. What? What is this last thing? Is this additional data? No, move name. Okay, strike down situation. Okay, we're getting into, so slash is fine. This one should not be. Right, this is okay, so we're kind of figuring out which one to use depending on the type of the weapon. Yeah, so now we would have broken it because the sword is both slashing and thrusting. So what we need to do, unfortunately, is to do strike slash down situation. And create strike thrust down situation. And this one only has slash, and this one only has finish, thrust, and grounded enemy. Nope. Okay. So now we hopefully do this, and that means that we need to say in strike down we are creating a create strike slash down situation, and here we should be saying create strike thrust down situation. Okay, right. So now when the enemy is down, we can thrust down at them. Why am I doing this? Oh, because I wanted to see, this is really easy to get distracted. I wanted to make a way to. I will probably create a new one, I guess. Yeah. Well, this is nice because we can now. Let me see if I can make it happen here. I'm holding a pike. That's good. Now I just need to. Find. Okay, I ruin his stance and he exposes his arm and hurls the sword at me. I should fix how like they're always hurling swords. I dodge it and it flies past me and out of reach. That's good. And now I want to. Why can't I just? What's wrong with sweep feet? So he's above ground. I am above ground. I have healthy legs. The enemy is not on ground. I'm not blind. This is weird. Why am I not able to do this? Weird. Okay, I'm just like gonna leap at him, I guess. I should write this down somewhere. So I uncovered. I think I uncovered something else as well. So yeah, why can't I sweep feet at extended orc? Seems like a problem. Okay, so I'll just leap at him. Success. And I can throw my pike at him. Yeah, that's part of the problem. I stand up. And now I can thrust at him from above with my pike. Which, I mean, I could do before. I thrust down with the pike at the orc and he tries to roll over, but he can't. The pike pierces his heart and he stops moving. Okay. So again, I want to. Oh, I'm holding a scimitar, which is like that's a sword. So I can totally. Yeah, I can slash at his leg. All right. The orc tries to deflect it, but I'm too quick for him. I'm cheating, by the way, so this is all like success. But I'm too quick for him and slash his leg. Left legs goes link. He falls down. And so now I can thrust at him from above with a scimitar. Cool. So we did something. Oh, okay. Something's wrong. No recommendations. Oh, yes. So I fixed the fact that I can I can thrust with a sword, but the ending action, finish thrust spear down still is, so I create this situation, the orc fails to counter it, and then I say, yeah, the only option to do right now for the player, for the attacker, is this, finish thrust at grounded enemy, right? You go here, and it's like, okay, so is it applicable? There's the only option that I have right now. Is it applicable? And it says, yeah, enemies in ground, sure. B, is the current weapon damage capability, is it a spear? And in our case, it wasn't, because we have a sword. So actually, we can do run skip. This will be very slow again, but hopefully this would have covered it as well. What I'm gonna do is, I'm just going to say true here, because this should be true anyway, right? Like, this is the only way to do it. Or actually, maybe we should say is thrusting or false, right? Yeah. Cool. Yeah. Yes. This is the same problem. Yeah, I wanted to make sure that my fuzzy testing would find this, and it did, so that's cool. So let's see if now we're fixed it. This is super slow now, but okay. Yeah, I'm gonna commit all these things. People are saying on the stream, make a 2D game development using Flutter. That would be cool, but not today, and not until I actually, make sure that this is, I want to release one game before doing others. And making a game from scratch would be also cool. This is one of the things where you always want to make something new from scratch, instead of working on that project that you've been working on for years. But there's a really cool article called "Finishing is a Skill," and it basically says we're all doing this. We're all always making things from scratch, because that's like when things are more interesting. And I know for a stream on YouTube, that would be obviously more interesting than doing something that's almost done. But it's a trap. Most people will do this, and the only people who are not doing this are often the ones that will finally release something, right? At some point, even game development gets a little bit boring and a little bit I do this again. And but that's why so many people just never release a game. So as Steve Jobs said, real artists ship. Imran is asking, is there any source to learn game development with Flutter? I would not say that Flutter is a good thing for game development. I am working with Flutter, but this is because basically my game looks like an app, right? And it's text-based, and the only thing that is game is inside of it. But for the outside user, it's basically just a reading, and with a little bit of animations on top. So I want to say that this probably is not the best use of Flutter, but I could be wrong. And there's definitely people. As I said, my internet connection is terrible when I'm streaming, but if you search for Flutter 2D game, you will find at least one package that makes use of Flutter and is for 2D games. But if I was doing a 2D game, I would probably pick another thing than Flutter, like Unity, for example. But it's just, you know, I like to. It's very much about what you expect and how much you want to be like on the cutting edge. And at some point, you might say, hey, you know what? I'm just gonna use the least. You know, for this particular thing, I don't want to deal with new technologies and like the baby problems with that, and instead just like focus on working. But oh yeah, no problem, Imran. Thanks for watching. Cool. So we did this. We fixed a problem that we didn't have, and then where are we? Yeah, we wanted to be able to thrust. Okay, we wanted to be able to be on the ground, and why am I not? Oh, so make it possible to strike down, thrust down with a sword. Makes more sense. So like we fixed a problem that nobody complained about, but that was just because they didn't see it yet. And now we would like to work on the original problem, that is, I'm on the ground and I want to be able to probably thrust at someone. And for that, I think we just need to create a new, completely new action. Unfortunately. Yeah, that's gonna be quite a lot of work. So let's get to it. I'm trying to, sorry for being this kind of silent, but I'm trying to think about all the things, and that's why sometimes on the stream I'm less productive than I would be otherwise, and other times I'm more productive. This time I'm trying to not go too quickly into implementing something, but basically what we want is whenever you and enemy are on ground, so actor and enemy, because obviously even your enemies can do this, you want to be able to do a few things. So there's already the wrestle for weapon. You can obviously stand. There's the kind of the break neck thing, or crack skull, or if you only have either, if you're barehanded, or you have like rock or something, and then I'm still running this. That's okay. Yeah, cool. And now we want to do like, you have a weapon and the other person can or does not need to have a weapon, and you just want to be like, you just leapt at them, so you're next to each other. So like swinging makes sense, but probably what makes more sense, at least to implement first, is thrusting, because you cannot swing with a dagger. Like you cannot just like do this with a dagger, but you can totally do this with a dagger. So you can thrust, and that probably makes more sense. Yeah. So we want to have like a start thrust on ground. Yeah. and the other person can block it with a shield. They can try to parry it. They parry. They can try to roll out of the way. So thrust on ground. So that would be block with shield. Can you dodge on the ground? Philip is suggesting if you're barehanded, you can press thumbs into eyes. Philip, that's terrible. That's even more terrible than correct skull, I think. But yeah, I agree. You could do that. Let me put it here. I am, as some of you know, the reason the combat is so brutal in this game sometimes is because it's like there's no other way, you know, like there is no incremental kind of like you hit the goblin with 10 hit points situation here. So that would be terrible. Like that would be terrible pros. So I need to do things like, you know, chop off like hands and stuff like that, which I would normally not go for, but it really makes a much more interesting fight when you render it in text. But yeah, I don't know if I wanna go there. But thanks for the suggestion. Press thumbs into eyes. Okay. Back to thrust on ground. So you can block it with shield. You can try to roll out of the way. We do a lot of that. And you can, I guess, can you parry a thrust? If it's with a sword, maybe. Or a spear. If it's long enough, basically, then I think you can parry it. I don't know. Does anyone know? Anyway, so that would be probably it. You can block. Basically, so most of the time you will just roll out of the way or somehow otherwise dodge it, which is fine. That's another question for someone, Philip. Can you dodge when you're on the ground? I don't know. I have no idea. Let's start implementing this. So these are all the actions that you can start when you're in a fight. So let's do start thrust on ground dart. Start. I want to just steal things from somewhere else. Start thrust. It's okay to copy paste until it's 3 times. That's my motto. So start thrust on ground help message. On ground help message. Yeah, Philip is like, dodge really just means move out of the way. So if you roll out of the way, you're dodging. But I wonder if I can, because I do a lot of roll out of the way. If like when someone thrusts at you with a pointy weapon, you can do other things than just roll out of the way, right? Like you can just like move out of the way, you know. I don't know. That's something that we don't need to figure out now. Mehmet is asking, usually dual wield has ability to parry. Yeah. We definitely, like, anytime you have any weapon, and you can parry, but so far I used it only for swings. You know, if someone slashes you, you can parry like that. But if someone's thrusting at you, I'm not sure if you can, like, I always, when I see parry, it is in the context of someone is slashing. I'm not sure if you parry when someone's thrusting. See, this is hard. All right, so compute thrust. This will actually just be, you will not be able to thrust at anything else than the torso. It's probably the best way to do it. So yeah, how do I do this? Oh, okay. Yeah, this is probably better. Right, okay. So this is what we'll have. A thrust. Yeah. Compute start thrust on ground player. Maybe like that. Yep. So so this is only for the player. We don't need that. This will be 3. Oh yeah, this should be more. 60. Balance. We're both on ground, so we don't need balance. And obviously, if the target has all eyes disabled, then that's a good bonus. So yeah. Start thrust on ground. On ground generator. Start thrust on ground. Yeah, this is all combat command type. Combat command bind is body. Stab. Thrust at object. Thrust on arm help message. Thrust on the ground. Report start. We don't actually need this. What's going on? Oh, it doesn't end with a return statement. This. I'm confused. Oh. What's going on? Oh, this. Right. Stupid. Okay. Only this. Okay, and we just need enemy anatomy torso. Okay, that sounds good. So right, so we're still converting this start thrust at body part to start thrust on ground. Great thrust situation. That would need to be a new one. But okay, so is it applicable? So this still works, right? I thrust at his torso. You know what? Just I thrust at him or her. So object would be enemy, and then we don't need this. The same goes for here. Except this is object, and we're not mentioning torso. Cool. And that seems fine. So this is a move that you can only do when you're on the ground. So A is on the ground. Enemy is also on the ground. Yeah, you can do it when you're blind. You should have a thrusting weapon. And this is not applicable. And don't allow fatal slashes for invincible actors. That's a good one, but I don't think we need it now. So we need to create a new thrust on ground situation, and that's where it gets a little boring. See, game development is boring, people. Don't do it. Oh, there's some new things. So if you roll out of the way you're dodging, hello, hey Ahmed. A basic way to make a 2D game in Flutter. Yeah, I really think you should stick with either Unity or some other 2D game framework, because like there are definitely good things about Flutter for 2D game development. One of them is I think it starts much faster than Unity. It is, and other tools like that. Like your game will be a lot nicer for people, I guess. Not a lot. You can definitely make a Unity game that starts fast. So what is the other thing with Flutter? So Flutter is what I'm using for this. And as I said before, not so long ago, this is basically, it tries to look as much as a reading app as possible. So for that, Flutter is great. But Samuel is asking about 2D games, and 2D games, like, obviously depends on what kind of 2D game. Like if it's tic-tac-toe, then this is great. Flutter is great. But like if it's something more complex and complicated, then that kind of then things that have been built for 2D games or 3D games and then 2D games like Unity are gonna make a better job of like having everything optimized for it and giving you all the bells and whistles that you will need, right? So there are some good things about Flutter. It may start a lot faster. Obviously, I think Dart is a nicer language. For me, Dart is a nicer language than C#, which you would use in Unity, or GScript, which you would use in, I think, Godot, or Lua, for that matter. So there are some things that are in favor, but it's like, yeah, it depends on what you're trying to do. If you're experimenting, or if you have like really strong preference for Flutter and Dart, then you should try it. But if you're only working on a game and trying to pick the best tool for the job, you should probably pick the one that is kind of the standard, because you'll find better community for it, and so on and so forth. I hope that answers your question a little bit. An RPG, cool. Samuel is writing an RPG without sprites, Dart UI canvas and animation. Yeah, that sounds like a way to go even with Flutter. But again, there might be a time when you're like, well, I wish Flutter could do this. And if you go to that Flutter team and start clamoring for, like a sprite management library, they will not, they will not deliver, or they will not deliver quickly, probably because the Flutter team is focused on apps and not games. While if you're using something like Unity, that's there. It's probably there like 10 times over. You have something that's already been done for that. Cool. All right. I think I should go ahead and do a little bit of the boring work, which I'm normally avoiding, right? So thrust. Yeah, I think I need to do this. I need to basically duplicate the whole thing and do a thrust on ground. Thrust on ground. Thrust on ground. Okay. So thrust on ground situation. What? Thrust on ground. Ooh, ground and not ground. Ground situation. Thrust on the ground situation. Wow, thrust on the ground situation. All right, create thrust on ground situation. Yeah. No, you don't need to define designation. Because that's okay. Attack direction, thrust, Finish thrust on ground, by the way, I think it should be. On ground. See, this is a lot of just doing these things. Yeah, we'll probably almost remove all of this. Thrust on ground situation. So we want finish thrust on ground, singleton. Yep. Going back to start thrust, that is where we have create thrust on ground situation without the designation, because we always try we'll always trying to hit the torso, and create thrust on ground defense situation is something else we need to do. This might be a little weird for people who haven't seen the game thing. If you go to the chat and do things like action question mark, then the bot should give you some kind of pointers. Code question mark, situation question mark. See, if you're looking at the chat, you should be seeing these things come up. World state, yeah, bunch of reading here. There should be also something like commands, right? Not sure. Yeah, if you do, I don't think you can see this, maybe not. But if you do exclamation mark commands like this, and hit enter, the bot will answer just for you, I think. It looks like it from the, I don't know, I'm not very familiar with YouTube streaming chat. All right, so back to all this. Create thrust on ground defense situation. Thrust on ground. I am leaning towards or erring on the side of longer and more kind of chatty ways to describe things and name things, even though I kind of hate it normally. Thrust defense on ground situation name. Because I don't know, I'm kind of overcompensating for things that are often the case, where you have like one class called thrust situation and another class is called point situation, and then you have no idea what each one is. And also when you're looking at your stack trace and you see thrust defense on ground situation name, you know exactly what to look. Okay, so these all actions will also need to be changed to the things that are like that. Okay, finish thrust on ground, I'm guessing. Yep. Yep. So finish thrust on ground is we've already been starting to do this. You can reroll. What? This shouldn't be rerollable. Well, at some point. So finish thrust is rerollable. Weird. Okay. that's not just weird, that's actually wrong. That shouldn't be the case. It doesn't manifest, but still it should be the case. Okay, so finish thrust on ground situation should take the thrusting damage. It does not need to get the attacker it doesn't. Right. Right. Also, by the way, you can thrust on ground not just with a weapon. Yeah, current damage capability. Cool. Yeah, so this means this is not just current weapon, but like if I have like a stinger, let's say I am a scorpion, I can still thrust on ground with that, which is pretty cool. I don't need to have a weapon. I don't need the situation, I don't think. So I can move all this. Yes. It's kind of obvious, but still. And then execute thrusting hit at body part designation torso. We could think about other things, but I think that's okay. Okay. Execute thrusting hit. What does it do? Major thrusting wound. Disable bar thrust. Yeah, okay, all these things will give us a good idea of what happened. So this is cool. Execute thrusting hit. We are changing the enemy by the result of the thrusting hit, and then we get threat, which is a natural language generation thing. If we killed them, result victim is not animated anymore, and they are not invincible, then we did kill them, which means okay, we can keep this. I step or bore through the orc's torso. Let's keep that. Action thread. If he'll drop. Oh, this is not killed, right? This should not happen because oh no, actually this might happen. We killed him. No, this should not happen. If we are targeting only torso. So if we didn't kill him, then there's no reason why they would drop their weapon. You drop your weapon if we somehow disable your arm or whatever you're using to hold the weapon. So assert . attacking torso shouldn't make enemy drop weapon. Will fall is pretty obviously not gonna happen as well, but it's always good to assert just to make sure. Enemy is already on the ground. Okay. Inflict pain. Extreme pain. This should also not happen. This should also not happen because torso is not a body part of a vision body part. Okay, it'll be fun to re-implement all of this when we realize that we want to be able to thrust at something else than torso, but you know, tough luck. Okay, so this means we are killing them. So this was when we're not killing. This is killing, and that means I pierce through through the orc's torso again, and that's okay. Positive, yes. Yeah, this is pretty weird. This should not be. Kill humanoid, okay. While on the ground. Get success chance. This one is sure success because we've gone through the defense, and it is applicable if the weapon is thrusting. Sure. Cool. So now we have this, and now we have actions. So we can dodge. We cannot jump back. We can block with shield, and that's. Oh, we wanted to also be able to parry. So jump back just goes away. Dodge. Okay, now I need to figure out how to make it so that it's relatively easy to do this. Well, now I'm thinking we actually need to make start thrust, and sorry, I'm not doing a good job of explaining myself. So start thrust has this thing somewhere. right? Oh, no, start straight down. If the player recently rolled out of way, which by the way I have no idea. Right, roll out of way. Oh, I'm sorry. I should make this stop. Well, you know, yeah, this is. I need this. So now I'm trying to figure out like how hard should it be to basically kill someone when you're lying next to them on the ground, and I think it shouldn't be too easy because otherwise we have this whole like everyone just kind of jumps into each other, puts them on the ground, tackles them to the ground, and then it's like who is the first one to thrust the dagger into the other one. Which I guess is realistic, but I'm not sure if that's the way we wanna. I like the fact that you're kind of trying to stand up sometimes, and you know, do some other things than just rolling on the ground with the enemy. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna make it pretty hard to do this, actually. Yeah, even if you have a pretty good dexterity. So that means that we'll have something like this and something like this, and penalty, and yes, if the target has disabled eyes, then sure. Okay, let's see if there are other things that we can do. So dexterity, height, balance, performer is a player, performer has limited vision, has limited mobility, target is shield, yeah, all right. So that's pretty cool. What has changed here? Okay. So computer dodge thrust should be pretty. Therefore, computer thrust is pretty high level of ability. So I mean, it's pretty probable. So there's a modifier of dexterity. It should be lower. There's no balance because you're both on the ground. Legs don't care. One eye disabled. Yeah. Okay. That sounds okay. Chat. Kicking and bashing when you don't have full range of motion with your weapon. Like if you're on the ground with an enemy. Yeah, Philip, I don't follow what you mean. Yes, that's what we're doing now is if you are both on the ground with a weapon. then that's what you're doing. You're like right now we're trying to implement just thrusting, but we can do more. Dodge thrust on ground. Let's do this. Dodge thrust on ground. My body out of harm's way. When done correctly, let me see if you all can see me. Yeah. If okay. So normally, if you dodge a thrust, it will make the other person out of balance, which is not what happens here. Obviously, because you're both on the ground. So I'm guessing it would be fair to have a counterattack on the ground. Counterattack. Counter thrust. Right, so we would have to have counter. Okay, so let's see. Counter thrusts on ground. So if you're the cool thing about countering is that if you have you can have then two different ways of doing it. You can be like, okay, oh, I'm lying next to the orc and the orc is trying to stab his sword at me. I can roll out of the way and make sure that and it's more probable that I will survive and not get stabbed, or I can try to dodge it and have a chance, which is harder, but then I have a chance to counter thrust at him and kill him. So you have like interesting options in the fight. So we should probably do that. Yes. Which will be hard. I mean, it will be more kind of doing these things. When done correctly, so dodging means moving my body out of harm's way. Okay, it will give me. It will give me an opportunity for a counterattack. When botched, it could get me killed. All right. So dodging is not aggressive, not proactive. It is rerollable, of course. Dodge and counter. Okay. Will I dodge? That's fine. Oh, Philip is actually getting back to me. So for lack of clarity, my thought was that if you are both on the ground resting, your weapons might be effectively disabled because you don't have full range of motion. So instead of thrusting, you might punch or kick. Yes. So, but that I think, I mean, I can imagine, because I've seen this in the Roguelike Celebration, that people were like, why can I use my weapon now? People will be just like that. So I thought, yes, you can still kick and punch and wrestle, but let's first focus on things that the player will be more likely to do, and that is, or will want to do more, and that is just like thrust at the other one, even if it's much harder to do. It's just something that you would want to have as an option, I think. Let's see. So we are dodging here. Okay, so try to move. Subjects out of the way. There could be something like I lay on the ground, or I kind of jump over the thrust. But yeah, at some point I'll need to. This is not a very streamable type of things to do. I should go through all the strings and just think about ways to spruce them up and make them more interesting to read. But as I said, it's not the best content for you people. So I'm guessing there's no way that there's someone out of balance here, because we're all on the ground. Yeah, it's just randomly. On the ground. Let's keep it. Yeah, we should not sidestep when we're on the ground. So this option goes away. So I dodge the thrust. Why not? Yeah, no losing of balance, because we're both on the ground. This opens an opportunity for a counterattack. Yeah, now we need a counterattack on ground situation. This will throw, but that's fine. Now do just thrust on ground. Okay. Get success chance. Compute dodge thrust on ground. And is it applicable? You cannot dodge if you're blind. And that's it. Shield block. So I guess we only have 20 minutes, and I'm sorry for not being so interesting. And also, I have not done anything about the UI yet. Wow. I thought I would be doing more about this skull here and all that. So sorry for that. Things just take so much more time than you think they would. Well, but I'm kind of happy. I'm doing what I should be doing, and that is making the fight making the fight experience fun and not surprising, or not disappointing. So dodge thrusts around. And you know what? It's actually better if I just throw here. And attack on ground. Because otherwise I could forget about it. And cool. And then compute shield block thrust on ground. And it should also be very likely to happen. So if this is 0.8, this should be 0.9. And so the dexterity modifier should be lower. And target is one eye disabled. Bonus should be higher. This should be the same. And yeah. So yeah, it is like if you have a shield, it's pretty obvious that you'll survive this. Shield block thrust on ground. A shield blocks enemy attacks with the least amount of energy and movement. It is easy and quick to launch a counterattack when the enemy's weapon is stopped in this way. That sounds good for me. Block with shield and counter. Cool. Will you block the thrust? By the way, why is there a slash? I thought we were thrust. See, there's still bugs all around. Apply failure. The thrust. With his shield, there is no off balance here. He fails. It's too slow. The enemy is too slick for him. Pop situation. Faster block while on ground. Cool. Apply success. So if enemy pose is off balance, right. And again, swing, even though we were copy pasting from thrust. Yeah, this will need a lot of quality assurance. Well, so yes, shield block, rust on ground. Right, so I block or stop or deflect the swing, the thrust, or the attack or the strike with my weapon, my shield. This opens an opportunity for a counterattack. And again, throw, implement. Counterattack with a shield while on ground. Success chance. And you can do that. You can do it if you're not blind and if you have a shield. That's great. So yeah, we need to now we need to actually do the counterattack situation on ground. And I hope it's not gonna be a long time. We're almost at time. So you know what? I'll stop here. One thing that I want to do is start with something. Counterattack situation. Maybe I just can add a counter thrust while on ground, and that would actually work. Yeah. Counter thrust on ground. And here, this is what I do when, this is a trick coming from writers, when you want to kind of, you want to always stop, not when you have everything done, but you want to stop programming or writing when you are kind of in the flow. So right now I'm kind of in the flow, so I can do like start here, implement counter thrust on ground and make sure it is added to counter attack situation. And that means that you know, after I finish the stream and do all the things, I will get back to programming and I will know exactly what to do next, instead of like looking at this huge list of files and be like, oh my god, what do I do now? So so that's a little tip for you. Cool. There are some other outstanding questions or notes. Player probably expects to be able to use their weapon as they have it. Yes. So basically, Filip agrees with me, which always good. All right. So what did we talk about today? We talked about my experience from Roguelike Celebration, which was amazing. I had some really good feedback, and a bunch of it was actually things that I was trying to figure out today. Here we're getting to we are basically made sure that this is not an issue anymore. As you can see, there's still many more. At some point I was actually, these are literally my notes when I was standing at the booth at the table in the conference, and at some point I was like, okay, I should also probably write down something that's good. So yes, people did love the interface, meaning this one, and how fluid it is and everything. Yeah, these are other things that I need to do. People want to parlay with the goblin. Yes. And I did show my game to Tarn Adams, and he liked it. Tarn Adams is the creator of... Did I close it? Yes. Of Dwarf Fortress. So again, I put it down as a note because that's pretty amazing to me. Thank you for watching. See you in 2 weeks from now, I think. And if you have any ideas, please write them as comments under the video, because I'll see them that way. If you want to get involved, then write your email here in gamebook.com and subscribe, and I will finally start to write some things. I think I've, like, the last time I wrote something into this email newsletter is maybe 8 months ago. So I'm definitely, we won't, here it says we won't bother you more than once a month. That is correct. We don't bother you. And do you see it? So egamebook.com, and at the very bottom you can keep up with the news. So yeah, my plan there is to get better at this. And now I actually have things to talk about, so that's cool. All right, thank you everyone again, and see you in 2 weeks. Bye.